it's Val, you go-to gal for all things health, diet, fitness, and happy living, and consumer advocate that I just added. Hi. Oh, it's a hot one today in South Carolina, boy. Ooh, 90s. Ooh, summer is upon us. But I wanted to talk to you today about hydrogen, the gas, the smallest particle on Earth, the smallest element, I should say. It's number one on the periodic table, and apparently very needed by human beings and actually all living things. Who knew? So, why am I talking about hydrogen? Well, back in the 1980s is when obesity really started to begin. I remember back in school, honestly, I'm going to be blunt, there were no fat kids. There weren't. And everybody says, well, it's because they don't play outside anymore and they eat crap. Well, that's all very true. But there's something else that happened along those same lines when the obesity started. It wasn't fast food, because that was around already. It was actually when plastic started to become more used, more manufactured. Water bottles, everything became in plastic. Okay, and they noticed a correlation. Scientists noticed a correlation between obesity and plastics. Now, I'm sure many of you heard about microplastics and how they're getting into everything. I'm going to show you a video by Steve Gundry because I love him, and the study says that every one of us has at least one plastic spoon in our brain, or amount of plastic that would equal a plastic spoon. That's disturbing, okay? So what's happening is this plastic is also getting into our gut. And you know how I feel about plastic water bottles. I'll smack you with one. But I don't even want to talk to one. So even if you're really good about plastics, it's still in the atmosphere. Microplastics are lingering everywhere, okay? They say you should even dust your house often because they're on your furniture. So when there's things that you can't avoid, what can you do? Well, why am I talking about, how am I getting to hydrogen from here? Well, there was a study done that talked about your gut health, okay, and what is really needed to keep your gut healthy. So, we have that good bacteria in there, our little buddies down there that keep our immune system good and our digestion good. And what happens is that they need the gut bacteria, and why we always say you eat fiber, because it feeds the gut bacteria, okay? Anything with fiber in it is food for that bacteria, okay? Not to mention fiber moves all the garbage out of you, okay? It's very important to keep you regular, and with water. And I'm going to get to water in a minute, that's why I'm saying this. Now, what happens is, though, your gut bacteria, when it's not doing well, your gut relies on something called butyrate, okay? And butyrate is a chemical produced in your gut, and butyrate helps keep your gut lining healthy. I've taken this before. This is called probutyrate, all right? You can find butyrate anywhere. But what I'm going to tell you first before I move on to anything, if you have colitis, if you have Crohn's disease, if you have anything like that going on with your digestive system, butyrate is the way to go because it repairs the lining. Now, why do so many people have gut issues today? Because their lining is damaged. One, it's from crap food. Two, it's from the environment. Three, it's not feeding your gut, your good bacteria, not feeding them, starving them out, okay? They're dying for this. And they can't do what they have to do if they don't get their fiber and they don't get the butyrate. Now, how does butyrate come into play? Well, if you have any intestinal issues, take it daily, okay? Serving size is 2 capsules, milligrams, 120, but always talk to your doctor first, okay? Don't just start taking something. So how does hydrogen come into play with this? Well, the good bacteria in our gut is having trouble producing the butyrate that we need, and our guts are not producing enough butyrate to keep us healthy. many years ago, cavemen, years and years ago, their gut health was fine because of what they ate. All they ate was roughage, okay? And so they didn't have half the health problems we have now, all right? So, so what happens? They don't produce enough butyrate, and the body then can't produce enough hydrogen, okay? Hydrogen is actually what creates more butyrate in your gut. But how do we get more hydrogen? How do we do that? Well, I watched this video on with Dr. Gundry, and I did read a study on it. That there are ways to make your water better and to get the hydrogen that your body and your gut so desperately need. It helps you lose weight, improves your gut health, improves your immunity, improves your skin, everything. So what I did was Dr. Gundry's selling these tablets, and I know other people do too. And all you do, you drink a 10-ounce glass of water with the tablet dot. It's almost like an Alka-Seltzer, but smaller. And you drop it in. It takes like 2 minutes to fizzle down, and you suck it down. Now, supposedly, it's supposed to rejuvenate your energy. You're supposed to feel great. So I'm going to do this for 30 days. Okay, I'm going to take it for 30 days. Then after 30 days, I'm going to tell you how I feel. See if I look any bit different. I'm cutting out the wine because the wine is in moderation is fine. But one glass a night. We gotta have some fun in this life. So stay tuned and watch this video that Dr. Gundry put out because he can explain it a lot better than I can. I'm not promoting his products, but I am going to give it a shot. Okay, so away we go.
Volunteers. They put them on a 14-day water fast where they got nothing but water, with one exception. One group got 100 calories per day of prebiotic fiber. The folks who got the prebiotic fiber had no hunger even with a 14-day water fast. Why? These guys were feeding their bacteria. The bacteria, in turn, sent GLP signals to the brain saying, hey, we're full. Our bacteria are perfectly capable of making that. That's how we discovered this hormone. So one of the keys for weight loss is you want to feed bacteria. It's remarkable how much this works. Does drinking water make you lose weight or gain it? The answer is pretty shocking. It turns out much of the water we buy in stores could actually be contributing to weight gain, common digestive issues, and even joint discomfort. However, there is one specific type of water I've seen people switch to that can absolutely transform their health for the better. And yes, drinking this kind of water can actually help you burn fat, sometimes dramatically. Now, people don't think this is possible from water, but I can tell you as a doctor who has not only helped thousands of people regain their health, but also as someone who has experienced it myself. And when I show you these results, you are going to be amazed. Let's start with this chart. This orange line is obesity in America. As you can see, it started skyrocketing in the 1980s and 90s and has been steadily increasing ever since. And what's the blue line that also shot up at the same time and seems to match the obesity rate almost exactly? Is it fast food consumption? Lack of exercise? Nope. It's the production of plastic. If I told you how many microplastics you have in your body right now, you would be shocked. According to one study, people living in the 1920s would have had zero plastic in their bodies, while today research suggests the average person has the equivalent of one plastic spoon worth of microplastics just in their brain alone. Now, here's the problem. When you drink microplastics smaller than 20 micrometers, these tiny jagged particles can penetrate almost any cell membrane in your body. Dozens of studies show they may damage your cells and affect your metabolism. In fact, the NIH recently stated accumulation of microplastics in the liver and kidney has also been shown to boost the growth and accumulation of fat cells. All of this directly affects body weight. In fact, scientists literally refer to these microplastics as obesogens. They also contribute to immune health issues, issues with insulin, even heart health. They even are affecting our digestive health, meaning they could play a role in the increasing amounts of bloating, occasional constipation, unhealthy food cravings, and other digestive issues I've seen skyrocket in my practice over the years. This is why I say most water sold in stores is actually making people gain weight. It's not just the water, it's the bottles. And it's getting worse, not better. In fact, a recent study suggests levels of microplastics in our brain have gone up 50% just in the last 8 years. Now, here's the thing. Obviously, I suggest everyone use as few plastic containers as possible to help keep these microplastics out of your body. But here's the truth about all those influencers who say, just drink more water to lose weight. Take it from a doctor with over 40 years of experience. Just drinking tap water from a glass isn't going to make you lose a ton of weight. So, how did all these people lose weight, get tons more energy, even improve their mental function, and get better sleep just from drinking water? Take a look at this glass and you'll see part of the reason. Now look, if you know anything about me, you know I'm one of the world's top experts on gut health. Getting my gut health under control is a huge part of how I lost 70 pounds and have kept the weight off for over 25 years. I've written 4 New York Times bestsellers on how gut health affects our weight, our energy, our mood, our joints, even our skin and hair. But until last year, nobody, not even me, knew that certain types of water could boost the number one most important aspect of gut health. Here's the secret we've just discovered. Our gut health is dependent on good bacteria called probiotics. This is something you may already know. And if you have the right probiotics in your digestive tract and you feed them right, they excrete a very powerful compound called butyrate. Butyrate is like the repairman of your gut. In your digestive tract, butyrate helps strengthen the cells in your gut lining. So if the walls have holes or leaks, butyrate comes by like a repairman and helps your cells patch up the holes. Butyrate also helps produce legendary ketones in the liver, which is not only great for liver health, it's an important aspect of many diets. And recent studies have now shown that when animals exercise, one of the main things they produce is, you guessed it, butyrate in the gut. Weight loss, more energy, reduced unhealthy food cravings, liver health, brain health, better sleep, saying goodbye to bloating, occasional constipation, and other digestive discomfort. I can tell you both as a doctor and my own patient, I now consider butyrate to be one of, if not the most important health boosters in the human body. Now, what do we need to make butyrate in our bodies? For years, we thought this all came down to eating one type of food, fiber. The right high-fiber foods are what your probiotics need to make more butyrate, which in turn repairs your gut, speeds up your metabolism, and supports a ton of other health benefits. But here's what's funny. Even when I would tell patients to eat foods that were high in this type of fiber, like asparagus, artichokes, and garlic, we would see some butyrate production go up, but not as much as we hoped for. Why? It turns out all these years there was one ingredient missing. In addition to fiber, your body needs one more very specific thing to help make this gut hero butyrate. Ready? It's actually hydrogen. Yes, hydrogen. It turns out hydrogen gas is like a spark that helps keep the butyrate making process running smoothly. And our gut is supposed to have hydrogen. In fact, back in your ancestors' time, it did. To this day, when people visit so-called healing waters, including hot springs and other natural water sources known for their therapeutic powers, these waters are often loaded with huge amounts of hydrogen. And even more importantly, our ancestors would get hydrogen production from the high-fiber, high-probiotic foods they ate every day. Now, sadly, that's all changed. If you look under a microscope for the hydrogen in a modern human digestive tract, for a lot of us Americans, you'd see it is probably lacking. That's because in general, our microbiomes are far less healthy than they need to be for optimal health or to produce any hydrogen gas. And unfortunately, a lot of the reasons for this are not our fault. Processed foods, herbicides like glyphosate in our food, and yes, all those microplastics. In fact, a recent study has shown that the presence of microplastics not only is a major disruptor of our gut health, destroying those healthy probiotics we need to be healthy, but microplastics also impact the production of hydrogen. And the more plastics that are present, the worse the disruption to hydrogen can become. So, to bring this full circle, our guts are being invaded by junk we're not supposed to digest. And it's stopping us from making one of the most important things we need for health, hydrogen. But There is good news. You see, we can't change our entire diet or lifestyle. No matter how clean you eat, almost all of us will always be dealing with factory farmed foods, air pollution, and trillions of particles of plastic in our bodies we have no power to stop. So the solution can't be cutting all these things out. But the solution is actually simple: getting hydrogen back in. Just look at this study. In Japan, researchers studied the microbiome of 26 men and women over 100 years old to see what differences they could find between these superagers and normal people in their 70s. What they found was shocking. After the test, it turns out one difference stuck out. The superagers over age 100 all had significantly more hydrogen in their gut than the control group. This was not an anomaly. Another study showed hydrogen supplementation could have a massive boost in antioxidant activity, one of the most significant things you can do for overall health. In a separate study from 2020, researchers found that when participants were supplemented with hydrogen-rich water, they experienced massive benefits to their metabolic health. It supported healthy cholesterol and glucose levels. And yes, they experienced noticeable weight loss and saw their waist size go down. And how did they get hydrogen back in these people's bodies? It was actually really simple: hydrogenated water. That's right, simply drinking regular water, which has had the vital hydrogen we need put back in. When you think about it, this all makes sense.